the Celts were all of Spain, France, Germany, Britain, Ireland, Scotland, all the way into Turkey and Anatolia. And like you were saying, they were like the original Scythians, and the Scythians are more giving credit for both the Mediterranean as well as Black Sea and even up into Siberia a bit, correct?
Yes.
Oh,
And
sorry, I wanted
even
to
all the way
flip
over,
back
even all the way over to Japan and in India, all those places.
Right, exactly. Like Scythian all the way into India and Japan, you said?
Well, mainstream history says that they tried to invade Japan and they failed, but one of the ships actually crashed on an island off of the west coast of Japan, and then when the Japanese military came to take them over, according to mainstream history, these Mongols took the Japanese ships and sailed back to the mainland, invaded the village, took all their wives and had children, and ended up integrating into Japanese society.
Wow.
So
that's
regardless, they definitely got their genes in there.
The entire ancient old world, from the tip of the western or eastern Atlantic to the tip of the western Pacific.
Yeah, and if you look at Japanese history on some of these maps, and even up until the early 1940s, they have photos in Japan that show like these Nestorian Christian type structures being in Japan, which Nestorian Christianity was spread throughout the entire Mongolian/Tartarian Empire at that time period because Nestorius was banned from the Western Christian churches. Yeah, if you pull up the map I have up, if you have to pull up the map I have up real quick too, it shows Alaska and Siberia being connected, which is what I was talking about earlier. And this map is from
what?
It's from 1512. Between 1577 is the guy who made it. So it shows Alaska connected to Siberia still in this time period, and it actually shows Gog Magog right here, Tibet. The only thing that's interesting is that
in Tibet.
It shows Japan right here, but it doesn't show the other islands like the Ryukyus in the northern parts of Japan.
Yeah, and not in their proper shapes either. Wow. Terra Arcerat. Terra Arcerat.
Wow. Yeah, I'll share this chat. I'll share this in the private chat with you too. So
60, yes, please. Man, see, these are all pre-reset maps, and it's that, was there an actual major, huge worldwide cataclysm of landmass extinction? Like, was the Younger Dryas event only 500 years ago? Or was there...
There's something to that. I mean, look at these cities in America that we never hear anything about. Like you have Chicho, Nakuf,
Granada. Canada Pro. Canada
this is before. Yeah, this is before Canada was even declared.
Yeah,
Canada.
Long before.
So it's interesting. I mean, you still have like the big cities.
Mexico,
like down here, if you go down to Peru, you still have Cusco right here. See, Cusco, Peru is like depicted as a castle.
Wow.
And then it also actually shows Antarctica down here too.
Finds. Oh my god.
So it shows Antarctica as well. But yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. It's possible that these people didn't even need to take rivers and go across the ocean to get here. But even if they did have to go that route, Mindful Exposure, Sarah, she said she found something about in Portland, Oregon. There was like Mongolian skulls or something, which we need to investigate more into.
What they call the Asian junker. The junker, even though it's these epic freaking sailing ships that are super efficient, and that the Asians, especially like Chinese, Japanese, whatnot, have been sailing around and like conquering the world seas with for thousands of years, and they're documented several of them sunk off of the western coast of, I believe, Oregon as well as Washington State. That they found several of them, and they just don't try to publicize it too much.
and the water show.
Smithsonian
map. Oh yeah, the Smithsonian. What another interesting thing about this map is there's no Great Lakes, which I find fascinating. I don't understand that.
Right, so maybe it has to be pre-Cataclysm. The only question is that this was more likely. So I think that there was some sort of like reset, big cataclysm sort of thing 500, 600 years ago. But I also believe that the major younger like the time of when the world looked like this was probably 12,000 years ago. And what they were probably doing was the king's courts and like the rulers were just copying, tracing the old surviving maps and then updating them the best they knew with like trade information and stuff like that. And that, you know, they were just putting what was known from the last ones, whether it was visited last like a couple hundred years ago or 1,000 years ago, or hasn't been visited. A lot of them haven't been visited since pre-Cataclysm, most likely, and they're just living off of legends and still think that the land and tracing the land as it was beforehand. And that's why from the time of when this is throughout the 1500s, then into the 1700s, they're updating and reaccuracizing, remeasuring everything they're exploring, and that they're just sharing it amongst all of the upper monarchs or whatever, these esoterics and stuff. And that clearly nobody had been down to the southern, sailed around South America up until 500 years ago, until Columbus, or the Columbus time frame of the Spaniards starting going there, and then they redrew it again. But anything before then shows that nobody in the West had been there. And if the Moors, the Moorish, the Tartars, and all of the opposing society, civilization, and people, world civilization, traders, travelers, and everything, that they kept their knowledge, their maps, and their civilization that was still there and living, hidden and secret and like suppressed from the Western world and the Western powers until Rome came in. What was the Roman Empire rebranded as the Jesuit Catholic order of missionaries that genocided and destroyed and raped and pillaged all the golden treasures of these old civilizations, while completely wiping out all of their knowledge, tradition, society, and history of what was known and accepted before of prior higher advanced civilizations.
Well, that's where the flamenco work kind of comes into play, even though everything in his books is, I don't believe nearly all of it, but he does have some points where he talks about history being created between the 16th and 19th centuries, modern history, because it doesn't make sense that these people would have control this entire time, and we have maps that reveal this information before they came to control. But it also is suspicious that they would allow these maps to be public. And one thing I noticed real quick is just in Saudi Arabia, you have this thing called Lima, which doesn't exist anymore at all, which would be similar to Lima, Peru. If you look up Lima, Saudi Arabia, it doesn't even exist at all. But let's go down here to South America. You still have Cusco on this map, and you have Caracas.
Wow.
Looks like. But yeah, I mean, this is overall, I mean, it's pretty accurate, so I don't understand why they would. This is Japan again. For some reason, it's depicted as being icy, which Hokkaido, the northern Japan, is really icy. Hokkaido, but that Hokkaido is not really up here, and they don't have the Ryukyus in the south. They just have the middle section of Japan for some reason. But same thing as the last map we were looking at. It has Gog Magog right here. It has the Tonton Tinuk right here. The same city names. A couple of them are missing in Central North America, but this map was between the 1500 and 1565. The other one was between 1500 and 1575. So, I mean, either they're basing these off of older maps or people are actually out here doing their thing.
Right?
Overall, it's pretty accurate, though. I mean, you have Cuba, you have...
No shit, hey?
Like, it's just... I don't see any real issues with this map besides the creatures in the ocean that you could debate never existed. Like this guy right here, who knows if they
Or
existed.
still exist. You know what? That guy right there actually kind of looks like some of the weird shit they've been pulling up from like the trenches lately.
The trenches.
Like, yeah, like Mariana's Trench and shit. Look at that other one too, to the right there.
Yeah,
like, right,
I mean,
like
that's why I don't...
like one of those light fish things with the anglerfish. That almost looks like an anglerfish. Same with the other one kind of up there. Like,
that's why I'll never... That's why I'll never travel to the sea. Okay, so real quick before we get back to what you're presenting, when was Antarctica discovered? January 27th, 1820.
The biggest lie ever. Right?
When was this map? When was this map made? Between 1500 and 1565. What does this say right here at the bottom of this map in the landmass called Antarctica? Antarctica. Right? What did the last map say?
So
it says,
just in case you think that
no, it doesn't say Antarctica, but there it is.
This is evidence that all history is a lie over and over and over again. And that there's like, what, at least 50 maps now, I think, overall that we've found out there. That
check it out. Circle Antarctica. So it is on this map. Impressive. And we haven't even looked at India and Asia and all that stuff. It could get even crazier. So
yes, please zoom in more.
Let's check it out real quick. Why not?
Super quick. Mongol something. Right. So when was all of the Siberian Tartarian and like Scythian civilization wiped out, and what sort of devastation?
Well, after Kublai Khan,
could have been a full shift, maybe.
It's possible because Ancient Historia has some pretty interesting videos about what's going on with the way the poles are shifting and actually heading towards Lake Baikal. Excuse me, but after Kublai Khan died, for example, the Mongol Empire basically fell apart because they had a system where instead of giving it to like the oldest son inheriting the empire, they would split it equally among the descendants. So of course, after time, that would lead to
oh my
civil
god,
wars.
I didn't see Brittany. Brittany, sister, thank you so much. You bless your soul. Hugely appreciated, and that will help out. That will help 1/4 of my gas to Shambhala and back. Hopefully it's 400, maybe, probably be 5 or 6 in my truck. My God, it's insane.
Jesus.
See, the second half of this year, my goal is to start testing and experimenting, collecting the hydrogen, the Brown's gases, and the different fuels that I've been producing for a decade off of all of my electrolysis reactions, and that the different coils that I've created that actually have extremely high rate for such small amount of electricity going in, and start the process of learning, engineering, working with, and using that hydrogen fuel as a subsidy into a hybrid vehicle, because it's ridiculous that we have to pay like $1.50 here a liter in Western Canada, where we produce like so much freaking oil. It's insane that, like, for instance, in Iran or Russia, where it's still like I think 25 cents or 20 cents American or Canadian per liter or gallon, because it's just subsidized, or they have so much of it, produce it, that they don't rip off their citizens. But point being, we should be all at least just mixing 50% water gases into your fuel, and not burning so much what should be made into plastic instead of CO2 poison. And sorry about my little rant there. Thank you so much, Brittany.
It's all good.
That is a huge
I thought
help.
she was joining. I thought she was joining the stream. I was like, damn.
Yeah, Brittany, join in, sister. Or is this a consolation, excellent support birthday present, but you don't want unable to come in? It's all good. I do appreciate that, sister. That huge chunk, huge help. Ooh, it's still my birthday in the West Coast for another 23 minutes. And then it's July 18th, which was Nelson Mandela's birthday. Look at how there's
Mandela
also
effect.
that Mandela effect. The 4 different islands, or does it have Mount Meru with those islands up in the North Pole there?
I don't think it does.
Oh yeah.
It does have the islands, but it doesn't say Mount Meru. But I remember when I was younger in elementary school, I definitely remember the globes having something at the North Pole.
Oh, we can get into some ufology too, Dan. Don't you worry. Much love, brother. And we need to, when I get back in August, we will schedule a few different ufology deep dives, the anti-gravity and the disclosure into all of it, because with Jeremy Reese, with Jeremiah Pop, as well as we're going to have Walter Bosley back, Joseph Farrell together with Walter Bosley on the next one, and we'll have you, Dan, and Eric Hecker as well with Dutch Sense. And when that one finally happens, with Eric Hecker, myself, Dutch Sense, I will make sure to send you a link to join in for the second half, Dan, as you'd be perfect to hop on with it, as well as hopefully okay, you don't want Eric. You and Eric don't, man. Guys, everybody. See, I had temporarily butted heads with Eric, but he is just too amazing, and we settled our differences, and I apologized. I should have. Anyways, we're all good, and I love Eric, but I understand if. Yeah, he told me to F myself a few times too. It's all good. He's doing good work. He's under a lot of pressure. I understand. Man, if you lived in the South Pole and then Alaska for like all of your life and was exposed to a whole bunch of crazy experimental brainwave shit, who knows? Like, this is what it is. Love the guy. Love you, Dan. And we'll be doing several UFO and over unity, anti-gravity, and disclosure streams in the future, or in August. Sorry. Definitely get you with Jeremy, Joseph Farrell, Jeremiah, and Walter Bosley. And this is yet another map. This is no, it's not Arabic, because it's Spanish. And see, that's a huge thing with that 500 years is. Sorry.
It's Italian, but when it comes to, as far as the guys who are arguing about not wanting to do a stream together, you can learn more from your enemies than you will your friends, because your enemies will always be honest with you. So you should definitely always try to communicate with your enemies as much as possible.